Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school.
Welcome, everybody, to the Miles and Crawford Variety Hour, Season 2 opener.
Woo, woo.
I'm Crawford. That was Miles with her train whistle. We ended this season on talking about women's rights and just kind of glossing over some interesting things. And then since then, we've been hearing in the news about Harvey Weinstein. Am I saying this right? Weinstein?
Either way, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, I was trying to look up how many women that he's sexually assaulted or whatever else. I mean, I think we talked about that a little bit in our last podcast, though. What a douchebag he is, and I couldn't find a figure. I'm thinking up and around 60. But what I wanted to talk about originally when we did our last episode was I wanted to touch on. I wanted us to do like decades, like, we talked about suffrage and the right to vote and things like that. And then I kind of wanted to move us up until like the 50s when, in the 40s when men went off to World War II and women took over in the factories, and then they made us go back into the homes. And then, we had our kind of revolution in the 60s and the 70s. Women went into the workforce and they didn't really want to be moms. And I want to talk about the feminine mystique. Did you read that article about the feminine mystique in that book that she wrote?
I half asked for the article you sent me because I'm a dick.
No, that's okay. I do that all the time. I totally mean to read. You know what I mean? I get about halfway through and I get distracted.
Yeah.
I'm like, I get just enough information.
Because we're women and we're easily distracted because of the fucking multitasking that we have to fucking do every day.
I'm all about talking about the mental load. But, so I don't know if I'll have time to circle back to that today, but what's happening with Harvey Weinstein happens to normal women every day across the country. There's always some jerk in power who, you have to, it's a term, fuck your way to the top. That's women's weapon and has been for the last 100 years or whatever, and it's getting tiring. That's the only way that we can get anything accomplished is if we show our tits.
That is absolutely true. And there is it's so ridiculous that anybody thinks that women aren't capable when we're the reason that the world fucking runs. Not to sound like a or like a fucking sexist or a feminist, but like without us, you guys wouldn't have kids, for one thing. Two, when you all have to go to war, which is probably going to happen again, and you guys get drafted, we're going to be picking up all your jobs, which we've already been doing for a long time. And it's been wonderful women who have led the resistance, who have led all that. I mean, from Harriet Tubman to Rosa Parks. Think about those two women right there alone who led the freedom and led the conversation and began all of these things. And yes, there was the Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X's, absolutely. But there was also, we just had a whole entire movie about the women of NASA.
Oh, that was a great movie, Hidden Figures.
NASA.
Weren't we just joking about we couldn't pronounce NASA? What is this? Not Noesa? I feel like we should convert our podcast into a linguistics course for people who cannot talk either.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
We can't.
That's so funny. Yeah, definitely. There's something wrong with
really
us.
Different cult sometimes. And it was, speaking of 60s, just so you know, it was Eleanor Roosevelt who chaired President John F. Kennedy's Commission on the Status of Women. So thank you, Eleanor, amongst everything else
what?
You did.
I love that. When I was younger, my favorite president, when people would ask me it, I would say JFK when I was younger. And then the more I, grew up and read, I loved to read and stuff. And my favorite president is actually Franklin Roosevelt now, FDR. And I really loved Eleanor Roosevelt. Those two were a true power couple, and they really, really cared about this country. And, the FDR wanted us to have that second Bill of Rights. You know, the right to health care, the right to housing, the right to basic human necessities. And it got voted down, and then he died, and it kind of died in Congress. But I always wonder, like, what would our country be like now if we would have had that opportunity? If we had that second Bill of Rights, where it probably would have been repealed by now, of course.
It would have. I mean, you know, it is, it's absolutely ridiculous what they've been doing to stop us all the time. We have to
Exactly.
get fucking taxed for tampons, but they're not taxed for
The
Viagra.
well, and health. What about what were we talking about last time?
We were talking
I have to
about
apologize to our listeners. I'm a little bit loopy. I had a nap, and so
you're not
that's just
awake
how it
yet.
goes.
It's okay. The last time
I'm like,
we were talking about how, you know, just across the board, how men in the new healthcare bill are getting things covered, but women aren't. Like, we're getting our birth control taken away from us, why men are still getting vasectomies and Viagra, which I know the Viagra is... I know that it has its importance for men of impotence, those who have served, or those who have legitimate, like, medical issues, but they don't think that birth control is a legitimate medication, because some women don't just use it just because they don't want to have kids. They use it for acne, pain, or to regularize their irregularities.
There's a lot of teenage girls that go on, not just for the birth control, but there's a lot of teenage girls that they also have to do that, where they have to be put on birth control because of not just their periods or to control not getting pregnant, but a lot of them with what is that? Endometriosis, birth control. A lot of people, they use birth control because it stops their periods, and so it stops that from. I just know a lot of people that don't just use their birth control for birth control.
Wait, what? Women have like two ways of using things with their
How dare they
fucking
make
multi-organ
decisions? If I want them to have
bodies?
1,000 babies, they will. One of my favorite, I guess, Betty Friedan. She wrote The Feminine Mystique back in, let's see, when did she write that? 1963. I think she wrote it a long time before that. Basically, I'm reading, I'm paraphrasing off Wikipedia, so I'm not this well spoken. She describes it's got an introduction, describes what she called the problem that has no name, the widespread unhappiness of women in the 1950s and the early 1960s. It discusses the lives of several housewives from around the United States who were unhappy despite living in material comfort and being married with children. Furthermore, Friedan questioned the women's magazine, women's education system, and advertisers for creating this widespread image of women. The detrimental effects induced by this image was that it narrowed women into the domestic sphere and led many women to lose their own identities. So it was a book, like, back then. I remember my mom telling me about it. Like, she read it, but she had to hide it under her mattress because her own mother was like, "You will never read that book." I mean, it was like one that got passed around. Like, have you read this? Like, you don't have to just stay home and raise kids. Like, there's opportunities out there. We're not just mothers and wives. You know, I mean, it was kind of a thing.
Wait, what?
Yeah. And it was.
I'm gonna keep saying that over and over again because I feel like we have to.
What? That's crazy.
What? What do you mean? I don't have to wear a skirt, and I don't have to wear like high heels every day.
And look, did you see that where like there are some? I read a lot of UK news, and so I guess it's not just the United States, but in the UK, I was reading about a staffing agency that dress code, the women had to wear high heels, and a woman was let go from her assignment because she didn't wear high heels to it. Like, that was required of her.
We have come so far. I work in an office, but luckily we're debating right now whether we can just wear jeans and tennis shoes every day.
Right.
I'm really pumped about this. Like, yes, please.
The last office that I worked at was the front part of a factory, so it was casual. We wore jeans and tennis shoes, but I mean, if you wanted to dress up, you could, and so I didn't have to worry about that. But I have worked in offices also where you have to wear business dress, you know.
Such
I
bullshit.
see here in I can't believe it was 1972. Congress passed title is that 9 in Roman
Yeah.
numerals.
Yep.
Numerals. You know,
Numericals.
numericals. I think is the way it's said. There's this gentleman that comes in that I wait on, and there's some words I just can't say right, and it comes from living all over the United States growing up, so I have a really weird accent. Sometimes, like, I'll say something very southern, and then the next word is very northern. And he keeps trying to correct the way I say iron. Iron. I iron my clothes. Did I say that right? I don't know.
Iron.
But I told him, like, it makes me think of the movie, and I can't remember what the movie is, but the rain on the plane falls stately on the plane or something. I don't know, but this guy was like trying to teach this woman how to be a lady, and he would make her enunciate. So, but anyway, so I tell him, like, you make me feel like that movie, because he's old enough to know what I'm talking about. So I can't remember the title. I'm sure there's some people out there like, I remember that. Let's see here. What else we got here, Miles? Oh,
we've got all kinds of fun stuff.
Well, anyways, we got stuck on numerals. I never finished the sentence. So Congress passed Title 9 of the Education Amendments Act, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex by public schools. What? I mean, it took till 1972? The ERA, which states that men and women should be treated equally by law, is passed by Congress and sent to the states for ratification. It falls 3 states short. Gloria Steinem helps launch the first issue of Miss Magazine. I love Gloria Steinem. She's amazing, so great. And she is still out there speeching it up, rocking. Yeah. And then in 1973, the U.S. Supreme Court decision, Roe versus Wade, which has been still embattled, and we're still stuck on that argument.
Let's talk about the girl that's stuck right now, who is an immigrant, and she's was allowed to have an abortion, and she's really young. And then they said, no, you can't. And then they were like, yes, I can. And then they were like, no, you can't. So finally, a judge came in, and like a 5th judge or something stupid. And they're like, yes, she can have an abortion. Stop. And then, of course, like 3 hours later, fucking Trump-a-dump's fucking office hears about it, and they're putting a stop to it again. I'm like, she's at 15 weeks now.
Right.
She was trying to have an abortion at 6 weeks. And now she's at 15 right? Because they're trying to make it to go to 20 weeks, so she has to carry it full term because they're a fucking bunch of assholes.
And which one of them are going to take care?
Go on.
Which one of them are going to take care of her baby? I guess I did.
Well, I mean, it's also depending, is she pregnant by one of them?
Yeah, right.
I'm not trying to be a dick, but seriously,
why are they so?
I mean,
why do they care so much? That doesn't
well, exactly.
It affects her life.
They don't. Exactly. And the other one was the senator from wherever who was a huge, like, hardcore anti-abortionist. Fucking is caught texting his mistress to have an abortion. So they don't really believe in it. They're doing it for the votes, not because they actually give a shit.
Well, you know what I thought was really interesting about... Oh, you know what? I love Sandra Day O'Connor. I remember growing up. I mean, that was the year I was born. 1981, she was named the first woman justice of the Supreme Court. And I always looked up to her just because it was such a big deal, But here we are. I'm 36, so we're talking in the last 40 or so years. We're just now starting to get through the so-called glass ceiling that's still there because we just keep getting pushed back into the different roles. Sally Ride, she became the first U.S. woman in space in '83. The '80s were happening time for ladies there for a minute. Well, there were power suits and women were in business and daycare was a big thing. Eliminate the barriers.
And I was born in 1983, so, I mean, fuck yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, those were awesome years. The U.S. Department,
yeah, it was.
Let's see, 1991, the U.S. Department of Labor establishes the Glass Ceiling Commission. Yeah, it wasn't composed of all men, I bet. To eliminate the barriers that block qualified women from advancements in the workplace.
Yeah. 1991, it really wasn't that long ago. I mean, I was, what?
I was 10.
91?
So you were 8?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. The 90s were a fun time for women. We were all about girl power.
Yeah, it wasn't until
Spice Girls.
1994 before the Violence Act Against Women was passed. So it was 1994 before beating the shit out of us was illegal. Yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
But
that's fine. Just beat us. But the notorious RBG, Ruth Bader
Ginsburg.
She's awesome. 1993. And also the same year that Janet Reno was appointed. And Janet Reno put up with a lot of crap. I mean, she had to deal with Waco. I think she was, I'm not sure if she was during Ruby Ridge too, but she dealt with a lot of stuff, and she was a very manly looking woman. She got made fun of a lot. And that's something that bothers me, is like when Hillary was running for president, or anytime I see interviews of women, and they're like, well, what about your children? But they never ask those same questions of men. Like, I never see articles about what a man wore to a debate, or what does he do with his children when he goes out campaigning. You know? Like,
no, it's the God honest truth. Like,
nobody cares. They're like, no, he's supposed to, but boy, if a woman does, then they're like, you know what? That's not right. We shouldn't allow that. She should be at home with her children. So,
yeah. I mean, she can't run anything. I mean, God, how can you be a mom and a judge and a wife and still cook dinner for me every night? I mean, come on. Why? How are you able to do that? You just can't. And the worst is the women who put down the other women who are doing better than them. And look, I know stay-at-home moms. Props to you guys. I've
done it a couple times, didn't care for it. I mean, I just get bored. And it is a real full-time job, don't get me wrong. I mean, wow. That's crazy. I mean, it really is. But
it is. Laundry, dishes, cleaning, mopping, sweeping, lunches, dinner, prep, blah, grocery list, bills. All of it is a full-time job. Don't get me wrong. It really is. I commend the women who do it. But just because somebody can do it doesn't mean all the rest of us can do it, or that we want to do it. We want to break the barriers. We want to be the very first person out there to show that we mean something, that something about who we are. I mean, it was 1997 before Madeleine Albright is confirmed as the first woman U.S. Secretary of State.
Yeah,
I mean, 1997.
You know, she got picked on a lot. Yeah,
she did. She wasn't the prettiest, but she was good.
No, I get so tired of it. Like, 97. You know what? Oh, the Women's National Basketball Association debuted.
Same year. But, I mean, they're talking about 1997. Yeah, that was 20 years ago. But it was just 20 years ago that you guys recognized that women had fucking talents with a basketball. Like, it's ridiculous that it took them that long to see what we have. And by the way, side note, the women's soccer team has won more gold medals than the men's soccer team, hands down, threefold, and they still make less money than
all
them.
Of you.
So
you can fuck off. How's that sound?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many women of power. And I mean, I think, between our generation, I mean, people that I really idolized were, I loved Mother Teresa. I'm not even a religious person, but I loved that woman. She was somebody who I thought was kind of like how people see the Pope now. Somebody who had a backbone and was doing what, in my opinion, real God's work. If God is real, Mother Teresa really was doing the work of him, and the kind of person she was amazing. And we had, even something as like Princess Diana. She was a princess, but she was raw about being a princess, and she was open about being, her.
She also left the royal life. You know what I mean? She had the balls to be like, no, this is it. Nope, my husband ain't gonna run around on me. Nope, I'm not doing this. I actually just watched a really good documentary. It was based off of tapes that she recorded with her biographer or whatever, and it was just a really interesting insight into how unhappy she was, and all the way up till her death. And I think it was on HBO. I'm not sure. I'll find it, send you a link to it, because I know how much you love Princess Di too, and I think you might have seen it already, because
I loved her, and I have such a hard time watching all of that. I've read her books, don't get me wrong. I have watched her wedding, I have watched her funeral, I have done all of it, but when I get back into it, it's a whole man, like it takes my soul apart, just because I really, as a young girl,
she was out doing her
idolized her
thing.
because she was
You know,
different,
she
and
was
she
she
wasn't.
was out there straight, like she
Yeah,
cared about
and
people. She was just she just she blazed her own path, is what it was.
she was awesome. And I mean, and now, we have Malala. I mean, that girl, shit. I don't even know how to like describe how amazing she is. If you guys have not read the book, they called her Malala, or My
Yeah.
Name is
Is that
Malala.
how
It's one of
you
those
say her
two.
name?
I
I didn't
owned
know.
it, and I ended up
I
giving
always
it to a
wondered
friend.
that.
Yeah, I had it. I read it, and I gave it to one of my girlfriends when she was going through some really difficult times. Jesse, shut up. My dog's barking. My
Jesse.
bad.
That's okay. A
Uh,
car's going by.
but
I don't have a grandbaby here soon.
yeah, he's all
I
confused.
know.
He's
He is.
old.
She's got
So
the sweetest dogs,
so
guys.
old.
They're just Australian
That
Shepherd dogs, and they're so sweet.
they're 11 and they're so
And it's
old.
so cute because when we're done recording, like we're doing coast to coast tonight, but when I'm over there and we get done and we pack up, I go back out, I'll go inside, like use the bathroom before I leave or whatever. And I open the door and there's her two dogs, and then her kids are in the background, like, is my mom out there? And then her husband's a little bit further back, like, is my wife done? Like they're all just waiting. Mommy, mommy, oh my gosh, I didn't know what we were gonna do. It's like they're all lost.
He's like freaking out 'cause I'm in the garage and I'm talking, and he's like, "Why are you not playing with me right
Surely you
now?"
want to pet me and
And
pay attention to me.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
pretty
that's
sure
what
we
it
could
is.
dedicate a
But
whole podcast just to dogs. Pets in general,
we could.
you
They're
know?
so great. But back to things
But
that are important, which is Malala, and she is awesome. And if you haven't read her book or know about her, you should. She was a Nobel Peace Prize winner by the time that she was 18. When she was 16 years old, she was shot in the face by the Taliban simply because she was trying to go to school. And Jesse is
that's
freaking out. I'm
okay.
sorry.
I hope he's not trying to be
And
like, there's a burglar outside, Mom.
I know, right? He's funky today. And but she was phenomenal, and she continues to take a lot of her fame, and she's just taking the money that she's earning and she's using it to be awesome. She's opening up school for women. Okay, I'm gonna
Jesse
check out
is
my dog. You
upset.
talk for a hot
He's like,
minute.
listen, I am
Yeah.
upset too. I love women. They're amazing.
I'm taking a break, taking over,
All
Crocker. I'll
right.
be right back.
Talk about social clubs anyways. I work at a social club. There's a lot of them out there in America. We've got the Elks. I'm not going to be able to name them all off, but just the big ones around here. We have the Elks Lodge. We have the VFW, which is the Veterans of Foreign Wars. We've got the Eagles, which I think is a veterans. I could be wrong. There's AMVETS. There's American Legion. And then there's the Moose. And I work at one of these social clubs. And I just became a member. And what I thought was very strange is the fact that these were all men's clubs back in the day, and they have separate chapters for women now. So the lodge that I work at has a lodge number, but the women's chapter has a totally different lodge number. But they have separate rules for women, and man, I was trying to look it up, but I wasn't able to find it online. They're posted in the lodge. Men can bring in a girlfriend, but women members are not allowed to bring in boyfriends. Like, they have to be married. There's completely separate rules. And the only reason that they allowed women into this organization is they do all of the fundraising, the charity work. They always want them to work the food events, like serving food. Like if they do dinners, or, I don't know if you ever driven by these social clubs and it says open to the public, and it'll be like pork chop dinner or whatever. And so I think the only reason they let women in is because they kind of nag, like, I want to be a part of it too, but they wanted women to come in and do women's work, so that they can make more money for themselves. And the longer that I worked there, and I became a member recently, and I got the pamphlet in the mail, which, where is that? I guess I could pull that up. And I was talking to, I worked day shift today, and I was talking to a couple of the officers, the, higher ups, and they're starting to get real jilted because they do a lot of raffles and giveaways, and they raise a lot of money, and they give out scholarships to local students for college. And it's not a lot, but it's enough to buy a textbook or two. It's a little bit. We're a little town, and the men complain all the time. They don't like myself as a bartender. I'm not allowed to push the things that the women are raffling off because there's gambling and drinking there. So say like they bring in a crock pot, and everybody you can pull a tab for $1. And you can you write name on the back, and then if your number is pulled, then you win the item. And then they take that money and they apply it towards a charity. Like right now they're collecting donations for a Halloween party that they're putting together for all the children of the members of the club, And they've been fighting with the men because the men, they do dances for the schools here, and none of the men ever help out with that. And this Halloween dance this year, they didn't have any chaperones. All the women are busy that night. And so they asked the men to help out, and they kind of, were like, I don't really want to help you guys. So, but thanks for the offer, And so it's kind of like there was a lot of men there today, but they were telling me what, because I was like, I don't even understand, why don't we have, but I don't want a women's social club, why can't we just have and I think that's why I've been doing a lot of research about social clubs, because they're on the decline. Almost all the people that I wait on are 50 and up, if not 60 and up, it's just not appealing to the younger group of people. And so I think, kind of like Bob Evans, I think it's just going to die out, once that generation's done, that it's just, the membership numbers are going down, and it's very archaic, and it's suffocating, and it's not fair, and you see it every day, and it's disgusting.
No, and I can't imagine that. It is gross. And I remember a few people talking about, oh, you should join the lodge and you can be involved in all these things. And I'm like, I don't want to be a part of the men's club. I don't want to be a part of the women's club either. I just want to go out with some friends, and maybe I'll see some of my dude friends, or just talk to people in general. I don't really give a shit what sex you are. And I don't understand. I don't want to also hang out with a bunch of people who think that they can talk dirty to me because they're just from that time and era. I don't want a bunch of men who look at me and ask me dumb questions about how many kids I have, because they would automatically assume that I have children. That's why they're on the decline. It's not because the millennials are ruining it. No, we're just looking for fucking equality across the board, and we can't fucking afford
I think that's because they were like, well, we have a couple ideas, but there's too many men here to talk about it right now. Because I was like, I really, it is really an internal struggle for me to work for an organization like that, knowing full well the rules and the sexism and the one-sidedness of it, and I'm not allowed to push their charity stuff. I'm only allowed to push the men's stuff. And the men are like, you work for us, not the women, because they're a completely different chapter, technically. So, yeah, I'm fighting a cat. You're going to get off my lap, sir. Sorry. He's fighting me. I'm not joking.
See, Crawford has a crazy cat, and I had a dog.
He just ripped my microphone. Still barking so vigorous. Ripped my microphone out of the port, but went quiet. It wasn't because I wanted to. Everybody, I wasn't kidnapped, silenced by the government, but suddenly, boom.
Oh my god. Well, I think it's just you bring up a good point, though. It's what do we have to suck down? And
but I need that job. I told you, I live in a small town. I really don't have that many options, so I just I'm just stuck. What do I do? Here I feel very hypocritical. I'm working at a place that I absolutely abhor about our society, but yet here I am. Hey, can I get you a Bud Light with a glass of ice? I've never.
Yeah. No, you have to play the game.
I'm sick of playing the game, though, Miles. It's not
I
fair, and I
know.
think all women are just sick of it. Like, why are we all playing? Why do we all have to play by men's rules? I'm just so done. I think a lot of us are, and I think our generation, these social clubs, they're just gonna die out. More members die than they get new members every month. We have a flag that we pull down every time a member dies, and that thing has been down for like 3 months now because I keep it down for a full month. And I mean, but as they die off, we don't get the numbers back. I count every day because they come in and they write their number down to for the daily drawings and stuff. And in a day, for a full sheet of paper, like on a regular weekday, there might be 21 to 20 to 30 people that come in. That's not a lot. It seems like a lot, but we're open from noon until midnight. That's 12 hours. In 12 hours, only 20 to 30
That's
people.
not a lot of money.
No, and a lot of these are men in their 50s and 60s and 70s, and I tell you, they drop the N-bomb like it's. And the biggest thing that they talk about right now is the whole NFL thing. Like, it's just so ridiculous. That's all they had to talk about, and just how great Trump's doing. Have you seen the stock market? Trump's doing amazing, but.
Well, they're gonna love it until the fucking stock market crashes and all this shit blows up in their face.
Yeah.
Like, they see the right here and the right now. They don't see the future because they don't know if they're gonna see it. So it doesn't bother
never
them.
does.
And
I have 1,000 Asian beetles on my ceiling. Bro, this is freaking me out.
Bro.
Whoa.
But I think that there is it's really hard. And like you said, women shouldn't have to fight it. I remember I get that a lot when I'm like, dude, what do we have? And everybody's like, we don't have to. No. Like, look, I don't want us to have to. I don't want you to have to work there anymore. I don't want us to have to go through this bullshit. I don't want to play the game. I also know that sometimes, like, at this point, this year, we haven't made enough strides to get ourselves out of it.
And that's why. Because the administration that's currently in charge is they're trying to unravel everything that we have been trying to accomplish for years. And it's like, you know what? We'll just go live on Woman Island, okay? And you motherfuckers can fucking fight each other and figure shit out while we're over here like what the bonobos. But I don't know. I love. Miles sent me this video.
I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I'm just giggling because it sounded awesome.
I found that video like 5 years ago. I'm not kidding. The first time I saw it.
Oh, yeah. The one I tagged you in. I'm sorry.
I think it's called Bonobo. I love the little song that goes with it. It's a National Geographic video, and it's like,
I'll totally post it on our blog.
You guys will love it. Basically it talks about how their society works and how like the women control the males, and the males just lay around all day relaxed and happy. I mean, because the women, anytime there's any kind of like fighting or whatever, they fuck them. But it's got like the cutest little music. It's just it is such a cute little video. It's one of my favorites. Like, anytime I'm feeling down, actually will watch that video because it's just so funny.
It really is. I'm over here like I should turn off my mic because I keep giggling, but I want the listeners to know it really is good. It'll make you giggle because we don't know what else to do right now. Like, I'm helping a friend with her campaign and our locals, and I'm that bad. I'm like, well, we should do this. We could play this game and we could do that. And, I'm really about, I can't even put it down, like how hard I'm like, how do we do this and make a stride and actually make an impact without playing the game? And that's really, really hard to do right now because I feel like there's more going against us than there is for us. And it's because of the way the government is pushing against us altogether that men are starting to feel more empowered. There's a lot more white male nationalists, white male aggressors, white male this and that. And so it's pushing women even farther back because we are taking some of our injustices and we have to put them elsewhere because there's other fucking fires that are bigger than our own.
Something that really bothers me is people, like, when something happens and somebody's like, instead of caring about this, why doesn't anybody care about that? Like, do we only have to care about one thing at a time? Can we
No,
care?
we have to care
Yeah,
about
can we
so
care
much at the
about
same
20
time,
things
and
at the
then
same
we get
time?
into a fight over like what am I allowed to be angry
Right,
about today? Because some days I'm allowed to be angry about racism, and other days I get called a bunch of
right.
shit, And then the other day when I was fucking like literally fought tooth and nail. My poor friend, she probably had seriously 45 notifications from me and this fucking dude, Jordan, you fucker.
Uh-oh.
That little motherfucker, you know what? I'm fighting with him because he's trying to talk about how he's an ally of women, but we need to respect the men that are sexually abused. Anyways, me and this motherfucker get into it for a long time, and then I would fucking Facebook stalk him to realize that he's a
Oh,
proud boy.
he's
Fuck
probably
them dicks.
men's right activist, the Red Pill Forum.
Yep, and he
Yeah,
is. And they come off as sympathizers, but they're a bunch of
sexist.
fucking
They're
douche
assholes. They're
fucking
alphas
canoes.
and betas.
Yep,
That's a fucked up. We
yep,
should
and I fucking hate
definitely, we
them.
should, as part of our women's series, talk about that because those guys are really
Y'all need to look into Proud Boys. If you guys see that on somebody's Facebook, run the fuck away. Because even everybody I know who is like, has messaged me and told me, be careful. Like, that group is scary. I'm like, I know. But you know what? If I don't say something, this girl is going to fucking sit here and feel like shit about it. And she even said that she felt bad because this guy was making her feel bad for saying that it happened to her. And was making her feel sympathetic for men's causes. And I'm like, no, fuck this shit. And finally, the next day, she put it up like, dude, this isn't about you. This is about me. And I'm like, that's what I'm saying. We're not fucking acting for a platform. We're saying, like, fuck off. There's something that we're allowed to do, but right now we can't because every time that a girl opens her mouth
But what
for
about
anything,
men?
the very first thing a guy wants was, what about men or fucking stick a dick in it? Like, that is their protocol right now. So how, you're right. How we can't be mad about all these things at once.
You know, right.
Everything's fucked right now. It's so fucked. There's so much division, and it's so hard on an emotional level to take that anger every day. I get called out because I am emotional and I am crying all the time because I'm so fucking pissed about so many things. And well, it's one cause at a time. I can't. Who am I supposed to fight for first? Like, I need to fight for everything all the time and work 40 hours and be a mom and be a wife and be a fucking dog lover and be a compassionate person who has a fun personality. I'm a good person. I like to laugh, but y'all are fucking making me depressed right now.
You're killing me, people.
You are literally, but that's what they want to do. I mean, a bunch of fucking white male. Oh, maybe that's what it is. Yeah. Crawford. They all just want to fuck each other. So they're trying to kill off the women with a stressor so they can all go ahead and be gay and it be all right.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. They just want to be a bunch of gay lovers and they want it to be okay. So they get rid of us first. That's right, boys. I'm calling you a bunch of gays. Oh, no, I'm kidding. That's a thing against the gays, and I love the gays, and they're way too much good for that anyways. But seriously, it fucking angers me. I can't. I'm so angry.
No, sorry. But that drives me crazy. People are like, well, you care so much about that. Why don't you care about this? I never said I didn't care about that. I can care about 20 things at one time. I'm actually pretty good at that. So, I mean, I do care about that, but right now I'm just trying to bring some focus to this right here, and in 10 minutes you'll see a post about that there. You know, I'm getting there. Yeah. I'm getting there. It's cool, everybody. I'm getting there. So,
we're getting there, like, it's one thing at a time, but I think everybody needs to understand that. I mean, it was 20 years ago when a lot of strides were being made. And then we kind of stagnated. I mean, taking your daughters to work day didn't even happen until like 1994, 95. Like, there are things about where we have come in 20 years that makes women feel very reinforced, that we need to make sure that we're not taking 10 years steps backwards, and y'all are making us. And so when you're acting, why are we so angry and hurt? It's because y'all keep hurting us. You're trying to take away our birth control. You're trying to take our rights to our own bodies. You're putting us in sex trafficking rings. You're putting us in these terrible fucking situations right now. And we have to fight for all of that. And we also had to fight, most of us who have a heart are also fighting for equality and unification instead of division. And we're trying to fight for all the right things. And we don't know how to keep fighting for them except for speaking and being vocal and having each other's backs. And if you don't like it, go fuck off and don't be my friend. And there's a lot of guys that are going to start feeling the heat. And I think that, you know, this last week or two with the Harvey situation has really brought out this, like, we're done. Like, you want to know the fucking line that got crossed? It wasn't Bill Crosby.
So,
Bill Crosby.
That was Bing
Bill
Cosby. Okay. He was a crooner.
Yeah, it wasn't even the fucking president of the United States, but for some stupid ass reason, it had to be Harvey. And if that's the fucking, if he has to be the fucking flag that we plant in the ground to fucking move forward, I don't give a shit who is our fucking, like, battery thing. Like, that dude's a dick. Right now he's already being called out about how he's in sex rehab right now and talking about how this is just a conspiracy against him. Like, he still doesn't even own up to what he did. So fuck that dude. But women, whatever we're on right now, like, let's keep doing it together. And despite whether you're Republican or Democrat or black, white, Asian, Polynesian, African, Icelandic, Swedish, whatever it is that you are, Indian, whatever, Native American, there's a million races out there and religions, and there's a lot of things for us to be fighting now. But right now, we don't need to be fighting each other. We need to work together for the ultimate goal for our rights to be from one land to another. And there was a great song that I used to sing as a kid. It says, this land is your land, this land is my land, and it is our land. It's our land, ladies, and we need to take it back. And as we work together as a team, we can work together as a fucking quality team. So that's my fucking soapbox.
You know, but it's sad that, you know, like the Quiverful movement that I've mentioned a couple times, they're all anti. No, I would prefer to stay at home and have men make decisions. So the sad thing is there are women out there who want to... that are fighting that. That's how they like that, and to me that's fine. I'm all about you live your life how you want to live your life. But do they really feel that way, or have they been conditioned and told their entire life that that's what they want and that's what they should have? You know.
Agreed. Agreed. But before we get on too much of a tangent, I think we need to be getting close.
I know we're getting good at this, dude. I like this timer on this Zencaster. 42 minutes. That's right, everybody.
Yeah,
that's a commute to work in the morning. I hope that people wake up with us in the morning wherever they are, listen to us talk, tell them, like, listen. I wonder if we have male listeners at all. I think so.
I think we do.
So. Maybe we have sexy voices and we're their fetish. How you doing, big guys? Some basketball shorts. You know how I feel. I don't go off on a tangent of basketball shorts again. So this is our season opener for season 2. Thanks for joining us again, as always. We kind of touched on just a few things. Here's something I did want to, when we were talking about Harvey Weinstein and all the women that have come, Weinstein. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Nobody ever corrects me, even though I say, hello, listeners. If you know how to say something, could you please just let me know? Please. That's okay. Anyways, I was bartending today, and I heard a conversation among men who they were showing, like, it was on the news, and they were showing pictures of the women that had come out, and they were like, I bet you anything, out of those 5 women, 3 of them are just jumping on the bandwagon for attention. And I had to walk back into the kitchen because I literally wanted to slap that dude. Like, you know what? Fuck you. You're an asshole, man. Yeah, that's right. We just love admitting that we were sexually... that's humiliating, first of all, and I need attention for it. Now, it's been going on in Hollywood for a long time, and not just with that dude. That's the culture that women... We deal with that across the board on everything. You know, we get talked down to when we go to the auto parts store. Where's your husband at? When we go to get our oil changed, I mean, they try to bull me over. I don't know about you, and I know that that's their thing that they do anyways, but I've also gone and got my oil changed with my boyfriend, and they treat him completely different, and they don't try the you need a new air you know what I mean? Like, they treat you completely different. Like, if you're in a place that women don't usually go, like the hardware store, have you ever been left alone in a hardware store? No, there's always a man who's like, you lost? You okay?
can I help you
If
find?
you
Do you
need
know
some
what
gardening
you're looking
gloves,
for?
we've got
Because I
some great
will.
flowers over here. No, motherfucker, I need some waterproof tape because my shower head's leaking. Okay, like I fixed my own shit. So no, my mom was really she was a tomboy growing up, and she was in the military, and she was kind of I think that she would have been better if she would have waited until she was in her 30s to have kids. I think she would have been more into being a mom, but she was right there in the 1970s where it was still you, and my grandma pushed that on me too, so I know how she feels. You get married, you graduate school, you get married, you have babies, and that's your life. And I don't think that's what she wanted. But she is the handiest lady in the world, and I'm not kidding. You get her, she's like MacGyver. You give her like duct tape, a couple paper clips, and she'll fix a car. And I always had this picture of her in my head, which my mom's a really short. She's like 5'2", thin. She's got she almost looks like an Indian as far as her coloring goes. She's got black hair, dark eyes, very tan. A little bib. I want to get her some bib overalls and a little tool belt. She can just be the handy lady because she'd be amazing at it. I want my mom to be a handy lady instead of a handy man. I think that's cool. So, anyways, that's a little bit about my mom, and you know.
I like it. Just letting you go. I like
She's
it a
so
lot.
cute. I mean, and she's like, just shut up, Like, I'm not joking. Like, NASA could call her. Like, we're having trouble, and she'd be like, you got some duct tape and a couple paper clips. I think if you just put that on the back of that rocket booster, you'll be okay. I'm not joking. She gets mad at me. She thinks I'm making fun of her, but I'm not. I'm super proud of her and how amazing she is. So, but that's where I got a lot of my inspiration. My mom went in the military. She kind of bucked the status quo. She wasn't always great as a mother or motherly, but she's one of my best friends, and she's given me the best life advice. So she might not have been mothering or nurturing, I guess is what I'm going to say, but she was probably one of the best mentors I've ever had. And I constantly learn. One of my biggest lessons, and I don't know how your relationship is with your mom, but this is my mantra. Whatever mom says, mom is right. And it has come, and I'm not talking about, like political issues or whatever else. I'm talking about life advice. Whenever my mom has been like, don't do that, do this, because this is what's going to happen. And I've gone the other way and wanted, and blazed my own path and found out the hard way that she was right. My mom is always right. She's always fucking right. Yes, but at the same time, I try to tell Andrew that, my son. I'm like, just listen to me. I'm telling you, I am always right. And I'm not talking about political opinions or how you should feel about religion or anything. I'm talking about life. Like, don't leave that job and go do this when you have this going on, because this is what's going to happen. You're going to lose your house. You know what I mean? Like, listen, and not everybody has great parents, so I'm not advocating people listening, but my mom, I'm always been very proud of her because, she went into the military in a time when, they didn't want women in the military. And what I find very sad and is very upsetting to me is she went to my son's Veteran Day. He had a celebration or whatever, and they sang a song and all this, and they asked all the vets to stand up at the end. And, so that everybody could shake their hand and everybody and all that. And all these men just passed my mom by while she was standing there to reach past her to shake other men's hands, and nobody acknowledged her. And I wasn't there, I was at work, and that's why she went. And I was I threw a fit. I posted a Facebook post about, and a couple of times, like, even my best friend Sean, who, he's commented on yours. I think you guys are Facebook friends now, but
yeah.
He's a Navy vet, and he's even forgets that she's a vet. A lot of people forget that women are also vets, so it's not just but anyways, my mom's super cool. Women's rights are very important, and I really appreciate everybody listening to us talk about it. I don't know how many parts we're gonna, I don't know, I kind of just enjoy talking about women's stuff. Maybe we'll just keep on with this and keep it in the forefront. Like, here's something else that y'all should pay attention to, or, whatever. But it's a variety hour, so you don't know what we're going to throw at you next week. We might skip on and do something stupid next week and then go back to women's rights the week after. I mean, that's just how we roll.
Yeah, we
That's the
don't fuck
variety. You
around.
reach in the bag and you get what you get.
Suck it, bitches. I'm kidding. But seriously, we love you,
Yeah,
listeners.
we really do. Appreciate you listening. And I think that's all we have for this week. But we'll be back next week with another lovely episode, talking dirty in your ear and dropping F-bombs. I marked these explicit now, which I've noticed has shot up our listens, that's cool. I guess people were like, I only want to listen to people that drop the F-bomb on the regular. So...
Hey, we have no shame. You know I love the F-bomb. It is my favorite.
I'm having a hard time because we're not supposed to use profanity. We're at work, so I've been really creative with my choice of curse words and whatnot. So I gotta be like, you Fraggle rockin' mother trucker, I swear. What in the heckin'?
Well, see, and I think that I've been the bad influence on some of the ladies I work with, where everybody was really polite, and then I really noticed the last year, and I'm not sure, maybe it's the fact that we're all comfortable, maybe they were just being polite for me, but the more the more milesy I became, the more I start hearing the underbreath, like, the fuck, shit, are you kidding me right now? God damn it. And I'm all back there laughing and giggling, and then I'll do the same thing, like, are you fucking kidding me right now? And I'm like, oh God, I'm in an office setting. But luckily we're all pretty low key with each other, that we understand. But it is one of those things where if you're in the wrong group, you got to be like, oh, hey, I didn't just, fly out 4 F-bombs. And I'm the worst. Like, my kids are going to curse like sailors too, because then if I had a swear jar in my house, I'd be broke all the time, because I try real hard, but I'm really bad at it. And I don't care. Like, and then my husband gets pissed because like, watch your language. And I'm like, who the fuck are you to tell me to watch my fucking goddamn language?
Put me in a box? I'm like, huh? Oh, gross. You know what? I always make people laugh because I'm like, whenever I do something, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have a second piece of cheese. You want to know why? Because I'm a grown-ass woman. I do what I want. And everybody always laughs because I always say that constantly. I'm a grown-ass woman. I do what I want. But then I'll, like, look over at my boyfriend like, just kidding. I'm not going to do that. I could if I wanted to.
If I wanted to and didn't think about it.
I'm a grown woman, and that's just who I am and what I do. Damn it. But,
yeah.
We need to do another linguistics. No. That was my favorite episode. I don't know what your favorite one is, but that's probably one of my anytime I talk to people about our podcast, that's the episode that I'm like, you have to listen to this one. It's my favorite. I had so much, that one was so much fun. I can't, last time, my stomach hurts so bad for a day. But anyways, getting off topic as always. There goes Crawford.
As always.
I never drive in a straight line.
No. But it's so great. It's so wonderful. And look, we made it to 52 minutes.
That's right, everybody. We're getting it together. It only took us a minute, but we got it. All right. So,
we got it.
Yeah.
10 minutes, actually.
Well, by the time I edit in some music and whatnot, it'll be whatever. It'll be less than an hour. And that's what we're aiming for.
You get what you get, and you don't.
And we don't charge, so it's free entertainment. You really can't complain.
I know, we need to start coming up with some sweet shit so we can get on a Patreon and sort of get people to pay us.
Well, some of these podcasts, they read an ad or whatever before the podcast starts. I don't care for that when I listen to podcasts, so I don't know if we should do that. But unless we can find something cool.
I mean, look, dude, Crawford, if somebody's like, I'll pay you $200 to say this.
You know what? You want my...
Yeah, okay.
You want me to do it in my low voice? Or,
Do you want me to read it like this?
Is this a 900 number ad? Because I can do that, big guy.
Rocco's Modern Life.
We are going to do that, aren't we? Post it as a companion. Us doing... Okay, that's just ridiculous. All right. Okay, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week when we either talk more about women or whatever else shiny distracts us.
Fucking floats our boat because we do what we want.
Shiny. That's stupid. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.